Wakanda will no longer watch from the shadows. We cannot. We must not. We will work to be an example of how we, as brothers and sisters on this earth, should treat each other. Now, more than ever, the illusions of division threaten our very existence. We all know the truth. More connects us than separates us. But in times of crisis, the wise build bridges, while the foolish build barriers. We must find a way to look after one another as if we were one single tribe. Welcome to episode 14 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
Today we're going to be talking about Black Panther from 2018, a monstrous film that made over $1 billion.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful MCU movies, one of the most powerful, as far as grossing films of all time. Of course, we are talking about Black Panther because Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us. And quite frankly, I believe he's one of the greatest actors to portray a superhero of all time.
Yeah.
And I think there's arguments to be made that he possibly should have been up for Best Actor at this Academy Awards. I'm not just saying that because he's recently passed. I also think he should have been up for Get On Up. Connor,
Yes.
What do you remember most about Chadwick Boseman?
I remember that he was a monumental performer who always gave 100%. I knew every time he was going to be on camera that it was going to be a good movie, or at the very least, I was going to fucking love him.
Yes.
I was looking forward to, just endless content. I knew he was going to be huge. I first, found him when I saw Get On Up. I was a huge James Brown fan, so I was really looking forward to that. And I watched it. I'm like, who is this guy? He's fucking killing it.
Right.
And then from there, I just sought out everything I could. And
yeah,
it was a fucking bullet to the spine when I saw the news. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I'm still in shock. It was we talked about this in a few episodes now because it really hit us hard. And
yes.
We wanted to do something special in his memory. We wanted to do something that we can celebrate his life and his career with. And we thought, Black Panther is the film he's going to be remembered for. And
right.
we thought that would be just the perfect avenue to embrace everything we loved about this guy.
Exactly. And that's a great way to put it, man. He's just a movie star. He could do anything. And I believe we both believe that he had so much potential and that he would have been up for a bunch of Oscars and maybe would have won some.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah. Last week we pointed out after Z, typically we would have done a 70s movie this week, but we like you said, we felt pretty rocked by that loss, and just like the film community as a whole, and of course the Marvel community, right? All of the fans are just absolutely devastated. So we felt it was right to do this film because of the 7 nominations it got, the 3 wins it got at the 91st Academy Awards, amongst some amazing films, right?
Yeah.
We both really enjoy Vice, Roma, The Favorite. There's some really interesting films from that year. And, Black Panther's right there in that group for Best Picture nominees. But what we did here is not so much a look at the 91st Academy Awards, but more a look at Chadwick Boseman's career. So we watched Get On Up, 42, 21 Bridges, Marshall, and then, of course, the Marvel stuff that he contributed. And, shame on me for forgetting how good Civil War is. And how important it is, obviously, for leading up to Black Panther.
Yeah.
Geez, man. I mean, you're a bigger Marvel fan than I am, but watching, specifically those movies, Civil War, Black Panther, the latter stages of the MCU, he's just such a big part of it.
He's huge. And Civil War, at the time, for a Marvel fan, I mean, this was 2 years before Infinity War, 3 years before Endgame. So that was the biggest we'd ever seen.
Yes.
A comic book movie. And it was, seeing Iron Man and Captain America fight for their beliefs. And in that movie, it's cool. I watched it recently and I kind of forgot that Black Panther is really more of a secondary antagonist in that movie.
Yes.
He's almost like a bad guy, but you get it. He's got this drive. And I love he has one of my favorite lines where he's like, I'm like, how long, you know how powerful, I am. I'm a king. So like how long do you think you can keep him away from me? Like,
Yeah.
he's so scary in that movie because he's so determined. And I love that you need that movie to create the T'Challa we see in Black Panther, because he learns the value of mercy and the importance of leadership in that movie. And he brings those lessons to Black Panther. It's, another example of how all of this is, one intricately woven tapestry. And it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, and it really is amazing that it's taken us this long to dive into one of these films.
I know, like over 100 episodes on the Filmgazm podcast are on 14 here, Oscar Sunday, and we have not covered a lot of superhero movies, maybe like 3, none of them Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. None of them being MCU, and it's just so fitting that, this is the one that, 7 Oscar nominations. That's a lot. That's a lot. That year, the most was Roman and The Favorite. They both had 10.
Yeah.
So 7? That's right up there. That's right there, man. Really competing with the kind of like Oscar bait and Oscar, movies that have Oscar written all over them. And it's just a change of pace here for Oscar Sunday, but it's definitely a film that we want to do on Filmgazm at some point. But with the sudden death of Chadwick Boseman, and knowing that he was doing all these things as this character while battling cancer.
Unbelievable.
And essentially all of the Marvel movies that he's in.
All of the Marvel movies and a lot of, his other movies. And he was, he's visiting children in hospitals, like in the cancer ward. Like, this man is such a fucking champion. Like, what he did and how he did it, I can't believe it. He really, like, he knew he was dying and he wanted to go out like a star. He wanted to have the film career that he wanted, and he fucking did it.
Yeah.
And, he could have been, he's going to be remembered forever. And I got nothing but admiration, respect, and love for Chadwick Boseman, and that'll never change. He's forever going to be listed among my favorite actors.
Yeah, agreed. And we are going to get into Black Panther's awards, what it was nominated for and what it won. But I want to keep going with this just Chadwick Boseman conversation.
Yeah.
Because I really do want to know what's like, if you had to kind of rank his filmography, like what would it be for you?
My favorite is easily Get On Up.
Me too.
That is just such a great movie. So rewatchable. He captures the just talent and craziness of James Brown so perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's definitely number 1. I would put probably Black Panther or Civil War around 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I really liked 42.
Yeah, he's great. He's great as Jackie. Yeah.
It pissed me off big time, but I really liked 42. And then Marshall was another like kind of sleeper hit that not a lot of people really saw, but was so good.
Yeah.
The Five Bloods was fantastic.
He's really good in that. Yeah.
Yeah. The only 2 I thought were just kind of okay were 21 Bridges and Message from the King. Everything else I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And
even in those movies, he was great.
Yes. Yeah, that's always the thing with Chadwick, and that's kind of like the sign of a movie star, an actor's actor. And we've had this conversation, throughout this week. We've been kind of talking about him and watching these movies, rewatching them, and diving into his career. And we both feel like he could have played a villain really well.
Oh, yes.
And that, you just kind of think your mind goes there. Those are the things you start thinking about when an amazing actor like this, goes away. When Philip Seymour Hoffman died, he was 46, and you're just like, oh man,
yeah,
there's so much more that these people could have done. That could be a selfish thought, but I think it's a human thought, right? It's a very, because we are fans and we admire. You brought up you had admiration for Chadwick, as do I.
Well, it's also so sad. He was 43 years old. He was so young. He had such a huge career ahead of him, and we didn't know him. Like the way we're looking at this is from a fan's perspective. We loved what he gave us. We loved what he did. And so I don't think it's that selfish to say that, we are very sad about his massive potential that was snuffed out. Because that's the side of him that we all saw.
Yeah. Yeah, crazy, man. I think I'm in agreement with you as far as Get On Up is his most impressive performance.
Yeah.
He's really, really, really pushing himself, and man, some of the the pure production design and costume design in that movie is underrated.
I couldn't believe that film got completely shut out of the awards. I was so expecting that to like dominate. I thought it was such a great movie.
Me too. I know. Yeah, and if you want to, we have reviews up for these on Filmgazm. If you want to check those out, pretty much any Chadwick Boseman movie, we have something up there.
Yes,
because we watched them all this week. But Black Panther, we were both working at Alamo Drafthouse when this came out.
Yes, we were.
I, was working quite a bit, and I remember that movie was very popular.
Yes, it was.
And a lot of people were in attendance for those screenings. So I didn't get to see it until maybe like 2 weeks after it came out. So when you work at Alamo Drafthouse and you're a server or a food runner, you're constantly in the theater, right? And you're seeing bits of the movie, And so it just kind of like sometimes can wear on you. And that's what happened a little bit with Black Panther for me personally. I was like, man, just like this movie's busy as hell. We're showing it all the time. And, this happened with Thor Ragnarok in fall of 2017. This, of course, happened with Infinity War, where you're just like, man, I'm seeing so much of this movie before I get to sit down and actually, process it. But when I did finally sit down and watch Black Panther, I was absolutely blown away by the tone of it, the sheer audacity of some of it, the colors, the Wakanda, the way it looks is so fucking cool. The soundtrack is, I mean, come on, it's unbelievable how they were able to do all of these things within this 2-hour piece of media. And it represents so much culture. And when I watched it this time, I liked it more than I ever have. And that's not just because of Chadwick. It's the rest of the movie is fantastic. Lupita Nyong'o, unbelievable performance from her. I would say that, Forrest Whitaker is a guy we kind of get used to just being awesome whenever he's on the screen.
Yeah.
He's great. He is great in this movie. Sterling K. Brown's bit is really fucking good. So when all these things are working and it's this big cultural, piece, I just kind of re-fell in love with it this time. And that was really amazing for me to go through.
That's what I love most about Marvel is they don't need to put this level of effort and care into their individual films because, they know everyone's going to pay the big bucks to see the Avengers movies. They could just phone these in, but they don't. They know how important each one is. And Black Panther could have been just, a watered down, version of what it became. But Ryan Coogler was so determined to make this awesome movie that celebrates all aspects of Black culture and really like gives the Black community a hero to rally behind. Because, let's be honest here. Pretty much every superhero who's been in a movie except Blade is a white guy. Black Panther was, huge for that community. And like, that's, a big part of why it was $1 billion grosser, one of Marvel's most successful films. And it's so good. It is so good.
Yeah. They took care of it. And, I'll bring up Ragnarok again, right? You hire a guy, let him do his thing, let him put his spin on it. It's funny. It's different. And boom, it's the best Thor movie by fucking miles, And same thing with Black Panther. You brought up those things. They don't really have to care. You're right. They're going to make their money. They're going to make their money no matter what. So when they do put, the time and effort into these things, especially with Black Panther, they took it really seriously that it is really the first major Black superhero. And come on, all the generations of Black kids growing up that don't get to see themselves on the big screen, that that's just so fucked up. And for this movie to not only come out but be as good as it is so awesome, so kick-ass.
Do you remember back in late 2017 when they dropped the trailer for this?
Oh yeah.
That was such a badass teaser with Run the Jewels.
Revolution will not be televised.
Holy shit, man. I was like, I'm going to see, oh my God, opening night. Like, holy fuck, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Marvel kills it with their trailers, but Black Panther, that first trailer is one of their best. I watch that from time to time. I watched it earlier today. It's just such a great trailer.
Oh, we could do a whole podcast just breaking down every trailer of all the MCU movies. I mean, that's easy. And again, it really is amazing that this hasn't been brought up because I know how dear the MCU is to your heart.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to our Filmgazm podcast, then maybe you heard our top 10 movies of the decade, but you had Endgame number 1.
I did, yes.
And, you know, in comparison to Endgame, I know that's like a 10 out of 10, like a perfect movie to you.
Yes.
Is Black Panther close at all? Or is it like, you don't have a chance because all of the characters are in this one?
I love Black Panther to death. None of the Marvel films come close to Endgame. It's that movie. Come on. Incredible, monumental achievement.
Infinity War.
Infinity War is right there, but Endgame is so goddamn satisfying that it's just impossible to match up. Marvel's
That's the thing.
Their peak here.
That's the thing is Infinity War is satisfying, but not all the way. It still fucks with you. And I like when movies do it. I like when movies do that. You actually had to wait a year like, oh my God. And that's because of Infinity War.
Infinity War fucking hurt. Like that
movie. People walked out crying out of that movie. Out of a Marvel movie, people walked out sobbing. And I was like, what happened?
It was crazy. I saw it opening night. And I remember because everyone who worked there was like giving me the stink eye, like, you son of a bitch. You took off tonight, you bastard. And I'm like, yeah, I did.
I looked around at people like, it's Connor, you idiots.
This is very important to me, and you all knew that. Anyway, I see the movie. It happens, the snap, roll credits. Everyone walks out. Nobody's saying a word. There is no camaraderie. There's no like, that was awesome. Everyone's just like silent.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And then I'm like, we got to wait a year to find out what happened for that. Jesus Christ. To end a movie with like literally killing off half the universe, including so many fan favorites, like, you know, Black Panther, for instance, to just axe them like that. Ballsy move, incredibly ballsy move. And I knew they were going to be they were going to deliver a great follow-up, but
of course,
the anticipation, the insane standard that Endgame had to live up to. And it not only hit that standard, it fucking surpassed it by miles. I mean,
yeah. I agree with you that Endgame just by sheer, you know, accomplishment, it's the better film. It's the finisher, and it's really good. Like you said, it's actually really good. But for me as a fan, Infinity War, the tone of like that aspect, like you pointed out, the snap and credits rolling and people being like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
They hadn't gone there the entire time.
True. And
they went there. I've never felt that in any superhero movie where I was like, oh my God. They might actually be fucked a little bit here. Like I really believe that. You know, you watch the Batman movies, you're like, Gotham's just fucked. So it's like, whatever. But, you know, with the MCU here, you're typically it's, I'm not going to say it's predictable, but it's typically
certainly like, formulaic. There's definitely, I'm aware of that for sure.
And, you know, of course, at the beginning, you know, the Iron Mans and those are just not as good in quality, and they get better and better as they give certain writers and directors more freedom. I couldn't believe that they actually did that, you know?
Yeah.
And for that reason, for that like sheer, it's almost like Kubrick, for sheer shock. I love Infinity War the most out of all of them.
Well, for me, like they're both 10s, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
And Endgame delivered on, you know, 10 years of established.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
It's so like, it really ties up everything so neatly. Everyone's, you know, story feels earned. Like nothing feels forced. It's really amazing that a film, you know, the 19th or 20th film in this franchise can pay off. Like that to me is an incredible accomplishment that like nothing else can really compare to. I mean, nobody's ever done anything like this before, and everyone who's tried has crashed and burned really hard. And Marvel just, I can't help it. It's just, it's like the way I wanted, it's what I wanted to see when I was a kid, is these amazing crossovers. And I never thought it'd be possible. But they did it, and they did it for me. It felt, it was for me. Those moments like Captain America lifting the hammer, and all the heroes coming through the portals, going back in time, and to all the big movies. Like, it was such a I could gush about that movie forever. I love it to death.
Yeah, no, that's what we do here on our podcast. It's fun to admire movies and reminisce about those moments in the theater and those moments at home, like with your family. And you pointed out, this movie's for me, and there's nothing better than that, right? I would say that, there's some movies from 2018. Infinity War, Black Panther both came out in 2018. Another movie that shook me and made me really sad was A Star Is Born, which came out in 2018.
Yeah.
And, that's another Best Picture nominee. And we will certainly have a show where we bring up all of the 2018 Best Picture nominees. It's just, it's better to talk about Black Panther and Marvel.
I just want to say this. In a year where two very significant films by Black filmmakers, Black Panther and Black Klansman, are both there, they gave Best Picture to the race film made by the white guy.
Yeah, I know. See, that's why we have to put that on its own podcast.
Yep. Because that adds another hour to our show.
I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of feelings about that group of movies. Some of them I love very much, but the one that won, I don't. Do you think Black Panther belongs in that group, or do you think Infinity War does? Or both?
That's a loaded question.
No, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think I can answer it. I would take Bohemian Rhapsody out, and I'd put Infinity War in. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, I think Black Panther earned the nomination. I don't think it was nominated for the right reasons. I think that the Academy gave Black Panther the nomination because it was so popular. I don't think they gave it the nomination because they recognize its cultural significance. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that's obviously, it felt like to me they were like, look what we did over here with this movie, but they still gave fairly, like you said, the white movie about race. They still gave them the big movie, the big award.
Like when the Golden Globes happened and Black Panther was up for Best Picture Drama, I remember thinking, that's weird. Why is this here? Like, there's no way they're going to give that a Best Picture nomination. And the Oscars were now
followed suit.
Shit, it's up for it. So it was cool, but it just didn't feel right, But maybe that's because it's the first one to do it.
Yeah, this is a tough conversation, and with I think we have the same logic here, and with that logic, Civil War should have been up in 2016.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of superhero. I think The Dark Knight should have been up. I think it really depends. Genre gets thrown completely out the window for me when it comes to the Oscars. It should be the merits of the film. It should be how good the movie is. Who gives a shit if it's a superhero movie or a drama or a horror movie or a sci-fi movie, comedy? Who gives a shit? Is it a great movie? And if so, why? What are the pieces here that we want to honor? Yes. And I really wish they thought that way. Because then we would know Black Panther wouldn't be the first superhero movie up for Best Picture. It would be like, the 9th by now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, it does feel in a way that they were making up for some, for their lack of judgment, in the past, and trying to make a certain, obviously, they're like, oh, our Black audience doesn't like us, so.
Again, yeah, they had that too. The Oscars so white thing. They had to make up for that, and they thought, oh, this huge Black superhero movie made over $1 billion. Let's throw that some love. Maybe they'll watch our show.
Yeah, and then you all the way at the end, this 3-hour show again. Fairly is the last face you see. So it's just hard. It's just tough when you're trying to, have this conversation about what are the Oscars doing exactly. And I just really hope that, with all the changes they've made throughout this year during COVID and how, you know, obviously the theaters are, some of them are in crisis and whatnot. I just, I believe and I hope that, you know, the Academy is moving in a good direction.
I think they are. I think last year was a very big step in a progressive direction for them. I think we talked about this a lot, but you know, giving Parasite Best Picture was really, really big for them, really huge to set that kind of precedent. So I think that we're going to be looking at some surprises in the next few years.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Obviously, this year is going to look kind of strange no matter what. But yeah, I think, you know, give it 5 or 6 years. I think, yeah, it could look like a totally different award show and just what kind of films are up. And like you said, we got to break down that genre barrier of people thinking that only these kinds of films should be up.
Yeah, genre films have been struggling to get into the awards game since the very beginning. For some, you know, these film critics look at these films as lesser. They look at them as pulpy. They look at them as, you know, not art. And that's just not true at all. It's never been true. And I think they're just now starting to realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Cannot say how big the multiple wins for Parasite is.
Yeah, took home like a lot of the big ones: director, screenplay, best picture.
You just the only thing that's confusing about that, if I could pick one nit about that, is if it's up for all these things, how is there not one acting for nomination?
Baby.
You know, yes, exactly. So you want to take what you can get, right? And it certainly was a great night. We watched them together, and that's what we're going to try to continue to do. And who knows what the show will look like this year? But
it might be all through Zoom. Who knows?
Oh man, yeah, 2020 is wild. But we're going to go back in time a little bit. We're gonna talk about the nominations first, and then the 3 that it won. So, Connor, if you want to take it from the bottom, I believe the first one is, sound mixing or sound editing? Something like that.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so sound mixing. We have A Star is Born, Roma, First Man, Black Panther, and the winner, Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't think Bohemian Rhapsody should have gotten any technical awards. I think that it was actually pretty poorly mixed together in the sound department.
Yes. I
would have given this to First Man.
Oh, man, I love that answer. First Man's thoroughly underrated. I don't think Bohemian Rhapsody really compares to the rest of these. Roma's doing some cool stuff, but I don't think it is on the same level as First Man. That's a good call. I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, First Man was, you know, Damien Chazelle's third film, kind of got shut out mostly except for a couple technical stuff. It took home visual effects, but it didn't really make a splash, which is crazy because it's a great movie. Yeah,
my theory on that is it came out the same day as A Star is Born and it got crushed at the box office because it was sometime in September, so, you know, you're thinking fall time, and if you're like going with your family to the theater and you're choosing between those two, the family's going to choose the one with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. You know what I mean? So it destroyed it those first couple weekends at the box office, and First Man got overlooked.
Yep, but like a good movie fan, I saw both.
Me too. I just kept it like a day apart. Yeah, I think I saw A Star is Born first. Yeah, and then First Man.
Yeah, A Star is Born was really good. I didn't know the story. I mean, this was the 4th version, so I hadn't seen any yet. And
now we've seen 2. Yeah.
Yes, we have. I was walking past somebody it was back when we were still at Draft House. I was walking past somebody and I heard one of the servers go, "Oh my God, I can't believe he hung himself." And I was like, "Fuck you." And then I was going to see it the next day.
I think I know who it was. I bet I have a guess. Yeah.
I was so pissed.
Because I've had stuff spoiled by people there. Yeah. Frustrating as hell.
So rude. My biggest complaint about that place is that I really thought going in that everyone was going to be such, you know, as big a movie fan as I was. Like, why else would you want to work here?
Oh,
yeah. Then I realized everyone else here is just, you know, here for the paycheck.
Oh my goodness. It was very rare. You know, I don't want to say, you know, about everyone that worked there, there were a few guys I talked to that knew some stuff about horror, right?
Yeah.
Some guys that worked there, but yeah, for the most part, it was like, what? I thought I was coming into a movie environment.
Yeah, this was
where
the Mecca for me, man. This was huge.
yeah, it was pretty frustrating. You're just like, oh, I guess every job just sucks and people don't care. Like, what? Come on, like, this place is cool. People love to come here. I love to come here. And now,
Yeah. I will say this though, Draft House, despite the pretty low pay and the incredibly difficult job, it was the only job I've ever missed.
Yeah, man. No, yeah, it's that I was going to definitely bounce off of that and say, like I said, there's some cool people there. I met you there.
Yeah.
And we've seen some amazing films there, and some old ones, some new ones, and I adore some of the experiences that I've had there.
Yeah.
I was just a little hurt by the process when you work in there. I was like, oh, this isn't as like energetic as I thought.
Nearly every movie up for the awards at this year I saw at Alamo Draft House.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you get to see them for free there when you're working there and whatnot. So yeah, definitely utilize that. I'm trying to think. Roma was through Netflix. That was fun. The Favorite I saw at the Bijou. Green Book I saw at Embassy. Trying to think, is there anything else? First Reformed, I didn't see that until it came out for rent, and that's one of my favorite movies from this award show. If Beale Street Could Talk, we saw together at Bijou.
That's true. I did see that one.
That's an underrated one from this year. Fantastic film.
As far as the Best Picture nominees go, I saw all of them at Draft House except for Roma, which was Netflix.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Me too, except for The Favorite and Roma. Yeah. No. I did not see Vice there. I saw Vice with a couple of friends at Embassy as well. Love Embassy. Santikos is the bomb.
It is the bomb, and it's one of the few theaters around here that's open and taking things seriously. So
yeah, no, Santikos is definitely really trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I've already seen 3 movies there.
Wonderful.
So after sound mixing, we had sound editing, which had Roma, A Quiet Place, First Man, Black Panther, and the winner once again, Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm surprised to see A Quiet Place here.
I love it.
Yeah, horror often, more shut out than any other genre when it comes to the Oscars. And even a technical award is, big step. And honestly, I think that movie did wonders with sound design. So I'm going to give it to Quiet Place.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, especially when a horror movie is up for one, it typically earned the shit out of that spot. So I just echo what you said, and yeah, got to give it to A Quiet Place. Some amazing stuff happening in that one, and I cannot wait for the sequel.
Yeah, I had some issues with A Quiet Place, but it looks like part 2 is going to clear all those up anyway. So I think retroactively, I'm going to like the first one a lot more.
Exactly.
Then we had Best Original Song. This was
we go.
List. We have When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns. I'll Fight from RBG. All the Stars from Black Panther, and the winner, Shallow from A Star is Born. And this was the only real guarantee at that Oscars. Like, there's no way A Star is Born was going to lose Best Song. And it's a great song. I'll admit, Shallow is a great song. But All the Stars is a powerful fucking song.
Yeah, when the credits start playing and you're seeing the amazing, kind of animation with the credits and SZA's voice, all this stuff. Yeah, it's just great.
Actually,
I can't say enough, about the amazing soundtrack altogether of Black Panther, but also the soundtrack altogether of A Star is Born. There are some other songs in there that are real powerful. Bradley Cooper, who knew?
Yeah, he worked really hard to make himself a singer. Like, he trained for that. And that was his movie, straight up.
I still really dig that movie, man. I've seen it a few times now, and he's got that it quality, and he knows it. He's totally self-aware. We've seen some shots of him. He's going to be in Paul Thomas Anderson's movie. I love the decisions decisions he's making as a, an actor, director, just creator. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I never would have thought like that, the guy from The Hangover would end up being one of the major power players in Hollywood.
I know.
Four or five nominations under his belt already.
Something like that, yeah.
Destined for a win. Like he reminds me a lot of George Clooney.
Oh yeah, he definitely has that kind of quality of that's great. Clooney's great because Clooney was able to branch out and has been able to do all kinds of different things. And
yeah,
Cooper will probably go even further. He seems a little bit like Stranger,
Yeah.
Like Cooper is one of those guys, kind of like Brad Pitt and Clooney in the way that he's trapped inside of inside of a movie star's body. But he's like, I'm weird.
Yeah, he's awesome. Bradley Cooper is one of my favorite guys working today.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of potential to just keep going.
So, what's the verdict on song? Do you think Shallow keeps it, or do you want to give it to All the Stars?
Yeah, no, All the Stars. Yeah, no. I love both soundtracks, but it's like the Black Panther one is like an album, and it's fucking just really good. I love TD, I love J-Rock, I love Isaiah Rashad. So all those guys being on, or Absol, yeah, I love all those rappers, and them being on that album is really special. Anderson .Paak's little, something's in the world. Like all that album's really good as a rap album, but it's also a dope ass soundtrack, And so
yeah,
that shit's awesome. I got to give it to Black Panther, and I also think it's probably the best Marvel soundtrack, along with the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff.
I agree with that. Not a lot of Marvel films, they're not all
No
soundtracks.
No,
A lot of the scores are pretty similar, which is a shame.
That's a big thing with those first like 8 or 9 movies. You're kind of like, the vibe sometimes feels a little too similar. Where you're like, I want to be in a comic book here. Come on, like,
yeah,
I want something different. So yeah, you're right. When they decide to use the music, it changes everything.
I think a lot of that also is owed to Disney because for the first few, it was Paramount distributing these films, and Disney bought Marvel Studios, so now they have endless pockets to buy the rights to whatever music they want. They secured Zeppelin. Nobody buys Zeppelin, and yeah, I love that. I mean, say what you want about Disney and their monopoly on the entertainment industry, but they've done wonders with Marvel. I wish they would put that same care into their Star Wars products, but who cares at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I give it to All the Stars too. I think that, especially now, there's something somber about that song, knowing what happened to Chadwick. And
yeah,
it's a song that just kind of makes me tear up a little bit now.
Yeah, it's such a good jam. I encourage everybody to go play it really loudly wherever they can.
Absolutely, blast that shit. And then the last film it was nominated for was last award it was nominated for was Best Picture, where we have Vice, A Star Is Born, Roma, The Favorite, Bohemian Rhapsody, Black Klansman, Black Panther, and the divisive winner, Green Book.
Woo!
Best Picture of 2018. Now's your chance. What should have won Best Picture in 2018?
Yeah, I'll keep it short because we'll save all of our like deep thoughts about all of these films. Short answer, I think it should have been Roma.
Okay, all right. Interesting pick.
I think we are a year late on the foreign Best Picture winner.
Okay. Roma, I liked. I didn't love it. I thought a lot of it was a little bit difficult to get through.
Yeah.
The ultimate, like the ending was really sweet and very heartwarming. I don't think it has the same rewatchability as a lot of these films.
That's fair. I like Alfonso Cuarón so much that there's directors for you and for any film fan, and he's one of those guys for me that I like to study and just see what the fuck he's thinking.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. He's definitely one of those guys. He's got like no two films of his are the same. He's always experimenting.
Yeah. And I really, really like them all. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Easily a good pick. I personally would give Best Picture to Vice. I think that is a brilliant,
That's
like overlooked film. Features Christian Bale's like the most incredible performance of his career, and it's a film that has a lot to say. I think that the Oscars, might not have gone that way because it was, specifically because it was very political. On the rest of these films, a lot of them are good. There's not a lot of greats of this year. Yeah.
I let's see. I love The Favorite, and I love Roma and Vice. Those three are like I love. And then A Star Is Born, is pretty good, pretty solid. Some good stuff happening there. Black Panther, Black Klansman, and then for sure for me, Green Book and Bohemian are my least favorite. But my favorite movie out of this entire thing, out of the entire award show is got to be Minding the Gap, which was up for Best Documentary. Bing Liu's film, just riveting stuff, and surely we're going to do it on the show one day, because we just kind of decide what happens. So
Yeah.
It is an interesting year for sure. So your favorite out of this, your favorite and the one that should have won, you think is Vice?
Probably, yeah. That movie, like, I loved Adam McKay's take on Dick Cheney and just showing how insane everything that happened was. And Christian Bale disappeared into that role. He really is just unbelievable in Vice.
That's more of a rob than anything from this award show, is Christian Bale losing to Rami Malek. We're going to go too deep. We'll move on from
this was a danger. Yeah, there's no way we were going to get away with this.
It's very difficult, because it's a divisive group of movies. Yeah,
true. So let's go into the films that Black Panther won. I mean, the awards. I don't know why I keep mixing those up. The awards that Black Panther won. It won 3 Oscars. First up, Best Production Design. We have Roma, Mary Poppins Returns, First Man, The Favorite, and Black Panther. And Black Panther's production design is unreal. I mean, Wakanda. You can't really beat that. They created Wakanda straight out of the comic books with a very specific, flavor. And it's so epic. It's so awesome. I think the only real competition it had was The Favorite.
Yeah, those set pieces typically do really well at the Oscars, right, in these categories. And The Favorite is intense, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, and with this win, production designer Hannah Beachler became the first African-American to be nominated for and win this award.
Yeah, incredible.
Pretty awesome. And like I said, Wakanda looks incredible. You can't really tell where the set design ends and the CGI begins. It really is like a flawless combo. And I don't think I think it was definitely going to win that one. And this also,
Easily.
These are the only 3 Oscars the MCU has. There's they've never won any other awards, which is pretty amazing. So Black Panther's the one that brought Marvel some gold.
To put in the cabinet with all those billions of dollars.
Yeah. It's not like they've been sobbing in the back the whole time. They're fine. But that's more for us.
Yes, yeah.
It also won costume design, where it was up against Mary, Queen of Scots, The Favorite, Mary Poppins Returns, and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, so we got 3 kind of similar ones where you got, again, kind of set piece type clothing, and then Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Coen Brothers underrated film, but it's got to go to Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean, just, not just the Black Panther costume, but, the various tribes of Wakanda and the
oh my god,
incredible, distinct costume for each group. It's the thought put into the costume design here is incredible. They really put so much attention to detail in that front. And yeah, this was definitely, and usually I would say for costume design, when in doubt, bet on the period film, because that's, usually that's what takes it. But in this case, yeah, Ruth E. Carter took the costume design, became the first African-American to win the Oscar for costume design. Incredible
stuff.
And Black Panther not just had, a black director and a black cast, it had a black crew. And that's pretty awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's amazing to see shows and movies and, doing that. hiring people with intent, the saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give these people these jobs because it's been far too long that they've been neglected. So you gotta love it because having a black director like Coogler who's proven to tell black stories on the screen so well, that's so important for that to translate to the audience, and for it to make sense on the screen. Good point, man. That's for sure. It's Black Panther is an iconic movie for Black culture and American culture altogether.
100%. 100%. And the final Oscar it won was Best Original Score. The one that I think that it fucking earned the most. So we have Mary Poppins Returns by Mark Shaman, Isle of Dogs by Alexandre Desplat, If Beale Street Could Talk by Nicholas Britell, and Black Klansman by Terrence Blanchard. Ludwig Göransson took it for Black Panther. And he fucking killed this score. Holy shit. The score is my favorite thing about Black Panther. It's a mixture of rap beats and tribal music, and just it's such a great combo that really just represents Wakanda and its place in the MCU. And yeah, I'm so glad Ludwig Göransson took this one.
Yeah, I'd say he has a little bit of competition, but before I get to him, Ludwig, it's funny because we just talked about how black the movie is, and here's this long-haired white guy on the stage like, hey.
I was not expecting that.
And he, I knew of this guy's name because he, in one of my favorite, hip-hop rap albums of the decade would be Because of the Internet by Childish Gambino. And he's the one who produced that album. And he also played guitar on The Worst Guys, probably my favorite track from that album. So I knew of his name. So when I saw he was attached to Black Panther, I was like, oh, he's totally gonna, like you said, implement these different kinds of sounds. And my favorite part would be when we're seeing Killmonger steal the vibranium, and there's that just kind of like do 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 do, and there's this undertone beat, and it's just it's exquisite and one of the best parts of the movie.
Killmonger's theme, easily my favorite part too. It's so chilling. It's great.
Yeah.
And the reason, Ludwig Göransson has done the score for a lot of Coogler's films because they met at USC. So they've been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so Ludwig knows Coogler's style, and he compliments him so well. I mean, he also did the score for Creed and Fruitvale Station. So
exactly.
Yeah, Göransson is a rock star.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's been around the block. I do think that Nicholas Britell is one of the very, very special names right now.
Yeah.
When it comes to composers and guys that are working on scores for movies and TV, and that would be his work with Barry Jenkins on this, If Beale Street Could Talk, and Moonlight, and then his work on Succession on HBO. Is one of the coolest intro songs I've ever heard for a TV show. He's just a fucking brilliant artist, and I can't wait to see what else he does. But Ludwig definitely takes this one.
Yeah, right on. And honestly, I haven't seen Isle of Dogs, so I can't speak for that one. But Mary Poppins Returns is incredibly forgettable. And I don't remember the music from Black Klansman either.
Terrence Blanchard is, that guy's a legend, right? He's a guy who has worked with Spike Lee a lot. We've talked about him prior to this show when we did Defy Bloods on our second episode of this entire podcast. So it was a lot of fun because you see those things, and Terrence Blanchard's a guy who's popped up a bunch in his filmography, and here he is, Black Klansman. He's a guy who captures that kind of jazzy, old school, kind of like 70s, 80s that a lot of black films were using at that time. And he's able to capture it really well because he was also doing it at that time. He's been doing it forever. So I do love some of those sounds, but I understand how it kind of gets lost amongst these. And I could talk about Wes Anderson and Isle of Dogs all day. So we'll just move on from there.
Fair enough. So yeah, those are the awards. Black Panther took home 3 of 7. Yes. And those 3 were well earned.
100%.
Black Panther has a IMDb score of 7.3. Rotten Tomatoes score of 96%. Very, very good. It grossed $1.3 billion on a budget of $200 million.
Unbelievable.
So, one of the biggest successes Marvel's ever made, one of the highest grossing films of all time. Yeah, I'd call that a success.
Yeah, slightly.
And Black Panther, I just wanted to throw this out. Black Panther was a character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in 1966. And he is known as the first superhero of African descent in mainstream American comics. And that's pretty significant how far he's come as a character and kind of an icon of Black culture, especially after the movie.
Yeah, extremely, extremely important. And it seemed like Stan Lee over time, rest in peace to him as well, right? And it seemed like over time he understood more and more how important characters like Black Panther are.
Yeah.
And yeah, you gotta love him for having that awareness as time goes on.
Well, he created the X-Men as a metaphor for homosexuality and, an identity that we're not, we don't choose, but we're born with, and we have to accept that. And other people have to accept that about us. And, it was incredibly progressive for, the 1960s.
Extremely badass. Yeah.
Yes. Stan Lee, I think, has always been at the forefront of progression when it comes to his comic books. He's always had something to say. His characters have always been, everymen, not like, rich, playboy like Batman or an alien god like Superman, but take Spider-Man. He's a, broke kid who's a journalist who just wants to do the right thing. Or not a journalist, but a photographer. And a lot of his superheroes are, just like that. There's regular people who got, were in an accident or were born with powers and they just want to do the right thing. Yeah. I love that. It's relatable.
God, I love that.
Black Panther he's ranked at number 51 on IGN's top 100 comic book heroes of all time.
Wow.
Yeah. I think number 1 was Superman, which isn't really a surprise.
No, not really.
Yeah. Well, I think with that, let's talk a bit about the story of Black Panther.
Yeah, let's do this.
So we open on a voice from a young boy asking his father to tell him the story of home. And we learn about the creation of the African nation of Wakanda, where a meteor made of vibranium, the most powerful substance in the world, crashed in Africa, and around it bloomed this culture of people who were supremely technologically advanced because of this substance, vibranium, which, if you are a consistent Marvel fan, is the substance that Captain America's shield is made out of.
Yes.
And I guess it's no longer the most powerful substance in the world because Thanos cut that thing to shit in Endgame. So we learn about, the nation of Wakanda became more technologically advanced than any other nation on Earth. And 5 tribes came together to declare a king who would be the protector of Wakanda, the Black Panther. And they would eat this heart-shaped herb that's affected by the vibranium, and it gives this person enhanced abilities and the power to protect Wakanda. And 4 of these tribes submitted to the power. 1 did not. The Jabari, they retreated into the mountains, but the other 4, followed the Black Panther. And they isolated themselves from the rest of the world, afraid that if the world knew what Wakanda had, they would take it. And that mentality has stayed the same for thousands of years. Wakanda is a secret nation. Nobody knows what they have because in this world, people fear what they don't understand and they want to destroy it. So, it makes sense for, T'Challa to want to keep his people safe, but he doesn't, he has very strict opposition from a lot of people he governs.
Yes.
But we'll learn about that later. So everyone thinks Wakanda is this third world country, which we saw in Civil War. They think it's this, barren wasteland that for some reason refuses to accept foreign aid. It's funny the way that that never comes up in the real Wakanda never comes up in Civil War.
Yeah.
Then we go to Oakland, where we meet Prince Njobu, played by Sterling K. Brown, in a brief but very important and significant role. And how about
Yes,
him?
so
His
good.
stock has gone up significantly in the past few years.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, I love the man. I think he's got all kinds of chops and has the bar has been raised by him doing stuff like this, and he's great in Waves and his work in TV on This Is Us. Yeah, man, he's everywhere.
It's funny because to me, he will always be this crazy vampire hunter named Gordon Walker on the 3rd season of Supernatural, who goes nuts because he thinks that Sam Winchester is the Antichrist. So that's who I always pictured Sterling K. Brown as. So when he popped up in these movies, I'm like, wow, like where's he been? And then I found out about This Is Us, and I'm like, oh, he's been on a very successful TV show.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Winning Emmys and Golden Globes.
Yeah, left and right. He's the man, making people cry.
Oh, yeah. And he fucking does that again in this movie. He plays Killmonger's father, who is trying to do something. We never find out what his plan is here, but he's trying to do something with weapons. It's revealed in backstory off screen that what he's trying to do is he's trying to break Killmonger's mother out of prison. And apparently that never went down, which is why Killmonger grew up, in foster care.
Yeah,
but
and why he's partly so angry.
Yeah, I would be angry too. And this, if I found out about all this shit.
Yeah.
What Njobu wants to do is he wants to share Wakanda's technology with Black people across the planet so they can rise up against their oppressors and dominate the world. And King T'Chaka is like, absolutely not. That's not who we are. And Njobu went so far as to team up with arms dealer Ulysses Claw, played by a highly underrated Andy Serkis, I might add. And him and Claw blew up Wakanda, like their entry, like he blew up a guard post, killed some people, stole a bunch of vibranium, and Njobu helped him do it. So T'Chaka is there to look his brother in the eye when he says, did you do it? But Zuri, his spy, who's been with Njobu this whole time, confirms that, yeah, he did it. And that's the last we see of him. He's going to be arrested for treason. And outside playing basketball is young Killmonger, who sees a Wakandan ship fly away from his father's apartment. And that image is seared in his mind, and he never forgets. In the present day, we follow, it picks up right after the end of Civil War, where King T'Chaka was killed by Helmut Zemo. And now T'Challa is on his way back to Wakanda to be crowned the king. And he's nervous, and he's unsure of himself, and he's mourning his father. And along the way, he picks up his ex-girlfriend, Nakia, one of their spies, who they have a kind of a will they, won't they, history. And Lupita Nyong'o plays Nakia, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, no kidding. She's another person who's just kind of like found her groove with 12 Years a Slave, and hasn't stopped getting better and better.
For sure, won an Oscar right out the gate, and has just been improving on her performances and kind of dipping her toes in a lot of different franchises. I mean, she's part of the MCU. She's in the Star Wars universe. She's one of Jordan Peele's people. She's got whatever. She does whatever she wants.
She was in a horror comedy, Little Monsters. Yeah,
yes.
she's the shit. I love her.
Little Monsters. That was such a great movie. So T'Challa informs Nakia that his father's dead and it's time to crown the new king. He goes with his bodyguard Okoye, played by Michonne from The Walking Dead. Her breakout role.
Oh yeah.
Well, not her breakout role, but her breakout movie role.
Yes.
I think she left The Walking Dead because her stock rose pretty big after this. We go to Wakanda. We meet Queen Ramonda, I think her name is, and his sister Shuri, and that's Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright, and the whole cast is great.
God, Angela Bassett, what a queen! She's just been killing it for decades.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Shuri, we find out, is the most brilliant person in Wakanda, and she builds all of the tech out of vibranium, which is cool. And we see kind of she's like the Q of Wakanda, and we see her
Yes.
give T'Challa a bunch of new tech, nanotech mostly, that once Wakanda does open its borders, Tony Stark then uses to build a new suit in Infinity War. It all comes back together.
Exactly. So there's a reason for it.
So great. We go to the challenge day, which is pretty epic. The entire country comes to see the crowning of the new king, but first he's got to pass a test of metal. And at first, it doesn't look like anybody's going to challenge him because everyone's like, yeah, of course, you're the rightful king. We love you. And then the Jabari show up. And that, I get chills every time I hear their like bark. It's fucking awesome. And we meet M'Baku, their leader, played by Winston Duke, who fucking kills it. I think one of the most underrated actors in this movie. Like, he is fucking awesome.
Yeah, if he had a little more screen time, I would like consider him for best supporting actor. He is so damn good. He does the accent. He does that accent. He's really frightening, and the stature of him, how he's not, he's not as chiseled as Michael B. and Chadwick. He's just a big, burly dude, and he's awesome.
He's beefy. Like, I feel like he could, fuck up anybody there. And I love it, like seeing, that performance and then watching like an interview with Winston Duke, and he's this like teddy bear.
Yeah. Well, seeing him and Us basically playing Jordan Peele was like, wow, this guy's got range.
I also love that Ryan Coogler took the character of Man-Ape, a fairly racist caricature in the comic books, and made him this imposing, like well-rounded, badass character. Props, man. Props. Big time. Way to, rescue a character from, racial obscurity and give him a new life.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
And he says, we've been watching from the mountains while you fucked up this country, and now we're taking it back.
Yeah.
I'm challenging you. And T'Challa's like, make a move. And they fight, and it looks like, it's kind of evenly matched for most of it. But T'Challa...
and M'Baku starts kicking his ass when he starts headbutting him, and he's like, no power. Like, you can't even keep your dad safe. He starts digging into him, and you're like, dude. But you're like, wait a minute, we're only 20 minutes into the movie. Surely he's going to live.
True. So the fight ends with T'Challa pinning M'Baku, making him yield. He lets M'Baku live, and that starts a chain reaction that leads to, by the time Infinity War rolls around, M'Baku referring to T'Challa as brother. Like, respect. I love that. So
yeah, that's a really cool moment, and you see a lot of Black Panther's kind of, his morality there, where he's telling him, "Yield, brother, yield! Like, your people need you." Like,
yeah, I love that.
Oh man, yeah, god damn, I love T'Challa.
He's such a good fucking leader.
Yeah, but that's that quote, from his dad. What does his dad say? He says, "It's it's
You're
hard
a good
for
man,
a good man."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, we know.
It's hard for a good man to be a good king, basically. And
yes.
He is right, especially since we see the complete antithesis of T'Challa, Killmonger, who only wants to conquer. And he doesn't give a shit about legacy, as we'll see later when he burns all the heart-shaped herbs.
Yes.
As far as he's concerned, he's the last king of Wakanda. And that's, that takes us to the intro to Killmonger, where he's at a museum in London looking at African artifacts. And he just, he's got these glasses. He looks kind of unassuming, maybe a student. And the docent comes over to talk to him. He's like, see anything, what's this? Killmonger's like, tell me about this one. He's like, oh, that's from this tribe. He's like, and this one? Oh, that was from this tribe. He's like, nope, that's Wakandan. He's like, excuse me? Like, yeah, that's vibranium. And don't worry, I'm going to take it off your hands for you. And then the theme starts trickling in, and we're like, oh, shit. This is our villain.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah, that part's really cool in that I love what he tells her. Like, you've had all these people watching me ever since I came in here, but you haven't been looking what you've been putting in your body. And, she starts falling, and he's like, oh, she's going to need some help.
It's great. Man. I love in that bit when he points, like, she's like, what? You can't, these aren't for sale. He's like, well, how do you think your ancestors got them? You think they paid a fair price for it?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Everything you need to know about his character is in that line right there.
Yeah. And then so he has that, but he also just has like the I'm a dick and I'm a punk. And he grabs when he grabs the mask and he's like, no, I'm just feeling it.
And when she passes out and the EMTs come, the EMTs are Claw, and he kills everybody and they steal the vibranium.
Which is also great because Claw is like, boom, boom, shoots two people. He's like, oh, come here. And he's like, just don't tell anybody. And the guy starts running him. He shoots him. And he's like, oh, it's better to leave the crime scene, spread out.
Makes us look like amateurs.
Yeah, so good. I love Claw.
Oh, and for, the MCU people, Claw was introduced in Avengers Age of Ultron as this vibranium dealer in South Africa who is just like a complete and total scumbag. And Ultron blew off one of his arms, so now he's got a like sonic weapon as his arm, which echoes the comic book villain, where his villainous name literally was just Claw. Marvel wasn't exactly creative in the naming department for a lot of their characters. His name's Ulysses Claw. What should we call him? Claw.
Well, yeah, they're like, we got to make sure we get these. No one else can get them.
So, the Wakandans have been after Claw for a very long time. He killed a lot of their people. He stole their vibranium. They've wanted him dead for years, and he pops up on their radar, and they find out that he's going to be selling a piece of stolen vibranium to a dealer in South Korea. So T'Challa, Nakia, and Okoye hop a jet thing to go to Korea and intercept this. And in Korea, they find the buyer is none other than CIA agent Everett Ross, played by Martin Freeman. We saw him for the first time in Captain America Civil War as well. I love that they have this like giant sandbox to just pick and choose characters. It's so fucking cool. And Ross immediately recognizes T'Challa, and I love that part because Ross is just like looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing here? This is this wild, like he immediately blows his cover of like, what? It's so good.
Very, very Fargo of him, that reaction.
Yeah. Very true. That's a good shout out there. And
I think Lester Nygaard.
Somebody pointed out that the two guys in this movie, like the two white characters in this movie, are played by Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman, which makes them the Tolkien white guys. Because we got Bilbo Baggins and Gollum here, and I love that. Whoever said that was a fucking genius.
They're not American. Yeah.
So good.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So Ross tells him, like, look, we're grabbing Claw. Like, this is our bust. And T'Challa's like, no, we're taking him back to Wakanda. Like, I gave you Zemo. Like, we're even. And Ross is like, no. That's not how it works. And I love the callbacks to other movies. That always makes me smile. And Claw shows up, and I love when him and his people walk through the metal detectors, and they go off, but nobody does anything.
Yeah.
Because they're clearly, they're big shit. And Claw meets with Ross and says something about like a mixtape he made. I don't know if he was joking or if he really did make a CD. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, he's like, oh, we got to get in my SoundCloud link.
Please don't make me listen to your music.
Yeah, I love that. Martin's great.
And they're going to make the deal for some diamonds, and Claw takes the vibranium out of his pants, which was just such a sleazy little addition to his character. But he sees Okoye gets made by his people, and so everyone reacts. Ross gets shot at, but he uses the diamonds to block him, and there's a big fucking fight breaks out of this casino, and they take off. It's a great car chase with Shuri kind of shadow driving the car. I love that Okoye and Nakia are literally in a vibranium car.
Yes,
it's crazy. And Claw's sonic weapon can actually like blow up vibranium, as he completely destroys their car.
Yeah, I love that. It's Americans shooting these guns at our, and Claw's like, it doesn't do anything. It's vibranium, you idiots. So good. That scene's pretty spectacular. We've talked a bit about some chase scenes on Filmgazm. In particular, there's some James Bond stuff, and then we did French Connection. But I love this chase scene. I love chase scenes in general. But man, this is a brilliant one where you have Korea, the nightlife in Korea, just like as the kind of centerpiece. It's really cool.
It's super cool. It's really cool. And there's that scene where like we find out, T'Challa's new suit can absorb kinetic energy and like release it as like blasts. And he does this to blow up a car and then like flips over the car and lands on like the other car. It was fucking cool. It was a trailer shot and still neat. And he manages to get, he stops Claw's car, rips him out of the car, and is gonna kill him. But Okoye says, the world is watching. And
you got people with their iPhones and stuff. Yeah.
So they arrest him, and he is just insane. Claw is sitting in the interrogation room.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
What the fuck is that? He's so nuts.
I love it.
And Ross has to talk to T'Challa, like, look, what are we going to do here? And T'Challa's like, you know what? Thank you. Like, pats him on the back, but, like, puts a little speaker so he can hear the conversation. It's nice. And Claw tells him, like, look, what do you really know about Wakanda? Like, you've never seen Wakanda. I'm the only man who's been there and, escaped alive. And I love that he points out that it's like the Spanish we're looking for. They called it El Dorado. Like to throw that in there is just so neat. They were looking for it in South America, but it was in Africa the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Atlantis, El Dorado. Yeah. That scene's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. This stretch of the film to me is, the most exciting.
Sure, for sure. Especially when Killmonger breaks Claw out of the building.
Yes. All leading up to that. Yeah. So cool.
Blows open the wall. Men come in and start shooting. Ross saves Nakia's life, like unprompted. I love that. Shows his true colors. He takes a bullet to the spine. And Killmonger grabs Claw. Black Panther tries to stop him. He takes a grenade to the chest, sees Killmonger's ring around his neck, and is like, I know that insignia. Why does he have that? So he, bookmarks that for later and goes and, says, we got to save Ross. And Okoye is like, we can't do that. We can't just bring him to Wakanda. And T'Challa, he brings out, he straight up says, I can't let him die. Shows, his true colors. A lot of people are revealed in this scene. And I like that. So they do end up bringing Ross to Wakanda to save his life. And he wakes up. He's like, how long have I been here? And they're like, a couple days. It's like, but bullet wounds don't heal in 2 days like they do here. It's funny to see him kind of flustered. And T'Challa immediately goes to Zuri to ask about the ring. And what he learns disturbs him. He learns that when Njobu betrayed his father, T'Chaka straight up fucking killed him. And he murdered his own brother and left Eric Stevens to foster care, left him, to the system when he should have brought him home. And T'Challa is horrified by his father that he would do this. And now he has to kind of come to terms with this enemy that his father created. Sins the father and all that.
Yes.
And Killmonger betrays Claw, kills him. I was not expecting that the first time I saw this. I thought Claw was going to be a significant character going forward in the MCU, but nope, snuffed. And
which is a great scene and shows Killmonger's, not only his anger and his tenacity, but his skill. The way he kills him, that's an incredible shot where you're like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he shoots his own girl to get to Claw. Like he doesn't care about anybody. He has nothing but hate and rage in his heart.
Yeah.
And Michael B. Jordan did such a great job relaying that. I mean, I love when actors who like are known for playing particularly like good characters, like good people, play villains because they bring it the fuck home. I don't know why, but actors who play good guys are so good at playing bad guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's exactly why we wanted to see Chadwick Boseman do that, because we
Yeah.
were used to seeing him kind of be these heroes. And yeah, man, I truly think that Michael B. Jordan should have been up, not should have been nominated or won an Oscar for playing Oscar in Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
He goes to some pretty jaw dropping places in that performance, and that's exactly what we're going for, right? And to see him do that, and then the Killmonger stuff again, another guy I can't wait to see what he does. He's like 33 years old. Like, holy shit, he's got a long ass career ahead of him.
I love seeing him in interviews because he's this like just down to earth kid who's kind of just happy to be here, and I love that. I love that mentality in Hollywood because those are always like the best performers. People who
100%.
Yeah. And Killmonger is a very good like character. He really did a great job bringing him to life. And he's called Killmonger because he has all these notches on his body that he marks for every one of his kills that he got when he was working special ops. And
Yeah.
Ross points that out when Killmonger shows up at the Wakandan border with Claw's body and is like, "Hey, you looking for this?" And when Killmonger brings the body, T'Challa is visited by his friend W'Kabi, played by Daniel Kaluuya. And W'Kabi had a specific, like a personal interest in seeing Claw brought to justice. And he's like, "So where is he?" And T'Challa's like, "We lost him." And W'Kabi's like pretty harsh. He says, I thought things would be different under you, but more the same. And walks away. So already sowing the seeds of dissent there.
Yeah.
So he's the one who greets Killmonger at the border and lets him in. And when when Ross finds out about this, he's like, "Oh, I know that guy." I love that. He's just like, "Yeah, that guy's one of ours. CIA, like special ops guy, the best."
Yeah, he's insane. Yeah.
Oh, so T'Challa, now knowing the whole truth about all this, has Killmonger brought to him. Killmonger's, in chains. And everyone's like, "Who is this guy?" And T'Challa's like, "The only reason I don't kill you where you stand is because I know who you are." And he should have asked, like, "What do you want?" And Killmonger's like, "I want the throne. Like, I did what you couldn't. Here's Claw." A real man should be. It reminded me of Mr. T in Rocky 3. Like, a real man should be sitting on that throne. You don't have what it takes.
I love it. That's perfect.
So, it being challenge day, Killmonger challenges T'Challa for the throne, and everyone's like, "Who are you? Like, you don't have royal blood. You just walked in here." And he points out, "No, in fact, my real name is like Njaka or something like that. It was very hard to pronounce."
Yeah, no kidding.
And he points out, "I'm Njobu's son," and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And Raimundo's like, "Say that's not true." And T'Challa's like, "It's true. I'll accept the challenge." So Killmonger and T'Challa fight, and it's fucking crazy because Killmonger annihilates him. It's not even close. And everyone's just like, "Get up!" And Killmonger's, kicking him while he's down. Like, "Is this your king? Who is this your king?" And he picks him up and hurls him over the waterfall. But first he stabs Zuri in the chest for his part in his father's murder. It's an emotional scene.
Yeah, it's a devastating scene. Michael B's finest moment of the movie, I think. He's extremely angry, and it helps that he has the physique of a fucking god.
Yeah.
He looks unbelievable. He looks like a fucking G.I. Joe with scars all over him. And I'm a sucker for some of those, action sequences where you do have that kind of intimidating force where it's like there's no chance in stopping this guy. And he certainly is doing that in that scene. And there's a couple times where he's down, obviously, and he could have killed him, but he says, "Get up." Like, he wanted to keep fighting. Like, yeah. Killmonger's like one of those guys who, like, breathes for challenge, just like fucking Bill the Butcher, guys like that. He needs it. He needs the competition. He needs fighting like in his life, and that aggression has to get out. And yeah, man, he brought it to him. And because of where you're at in the movie, you're like, Black Panther's coming back, but
Yeah, obviously.
it's gonna be tough to get. It's gonna be tough to take this guy down. It's gonna take a lot.
Well, and Killmonger didn't just have to kill T'Challa. He had to fucking humiliate him. He had to beat him down in front of everybody to show I am in charge now. I'm the king, so fuck this guy. And
major alpha move. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Throws him over the waterfall, says, I'm the king now. Nakia immediately grabs Ramonda and Shuri and is like, we got to go. Because, the first thing he's going to do is, kill anyone who, challenges his rule. They're first in line. So she gets them out. Killmonger is crowned, and the woman whose crew crowns him is like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this. And he sits on the throne. That's a jarring scene. The way the camera starts in upside down as it walks, we see Killmonger walk to the throne. It's vicious. It feels like, Wakanda has been turned upside down. It's a very good visual metaphor.
Exactly. And those are those little things that are why this movie kind of earned that spot for these Oscars.
For sure, yeah. And they go to get Ross because they know that Killmonger's going to fucking kill him too. And they flee to the mountains. But first they grab a heart-shaped herb because after Killmonger has his experience where he gains the power of the Black Panther and meets his father in the afterlife, who tells him, I should have brought you to Wakanda. And he's like, doesn't matter. I'm here now and I'm going to fulfill your dream. Very well done scene between Jordan and Brown. And that's like, oh my God, they both really killed it there.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits of the film, and one that I just kind of forgot about, just the impact of it. Those two talking to each other about so many things within such a short time. And that in itself is just devastating, right? That you have this little time to talk to your dad who's been dead for so long. And I'm so fascinated by them because, on paper, you're with them, right? On paper, you're like, yeah, of course you want all Black people to have this knowledge and this technology and vibranium and all this stuff. That would be great. So you can take down your oppressors. On paper, it sounds amazing, and I'm with Killmonger in that regard. But the way he goes about it is not a way that's, going to work, or it's not a respectful or loving way, right? So it's just such a fascinating character because what he's saying is not wrong.
I know.
And so Michael B is able to sell that so well because he's like selling that like, I'm from Oakland. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to be a person of color in the United States, and it fucking sucks. And so I want that to stop all over the world. And you're like, yeah, I'm with you, man. But then there's things in which he does and how he goes about it, and you're like,
yeah, it's not that he doesn't want, equal rights. He doesn't want equal treatment. He doesn't want brotherly love. He wants racial dominance, and he wants to rule the world. That's where the bad guy part comes in.
Yes, yeah. It goes past equality to vengeance.
Yes.
To let's get back. Let's get back what's ours and kill anybody in our way. And yeah, he's such a great character, and you love him, you hate him, you love him, you hate him, and he's just it's amazing.
Well, typically, so in the past 10 years, we've seen a lot of movies from Marvel with a lot of villains, and typically the three villains who are mostly listed as like their best villains are Thanos, Loki, and Killmonger. And those reasons, because all three of those characters are very layered and very sympathetic at times. And you understand Killmonger's mission. You feel that emotion at times. Like there's some moments here that's beautiful with Killmonger when he's talking to his father and he's like nearing tears, where you understand this is a man who had his entire life snuffed out by Wakanda, and he hates them as much as he hates the oppressors. That's why he that's why he took, ripped everything away from T'Challa. Like, he really wanted that. He wanted him to feel the pain that he felt. And I love when they really, give that three-dimensional look into these villains, because the best villains are, not always villains. There's things to see, there's light in them.
Yes.
Killmonger is one of those people. Even in the end, he's not, he doesn't have a speech at the end where he's like, I'll come back, I'll get you one day. It's, let me die with my people.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, he's such a great character.
It really is. It's an all-time kind of character, and most certainly looking forward to things that could be done with Killmonger in the future, right? Obviously, in this realm, we know his outcome. But I think that this character is so popular and so cool that it could have some sort of TV show or some kind of spin-off thing that people would be down for, because he's so great.
I can see, future appearances in the ancestral plane, like when the next Black Panther.
Yeah, stuff like that, maybe, yeah.
Something like that. Maybe he's, in hell trying to escape or some shit. They could do a lot with that.
I think a Disney Plus show about him as a kid would be really cool. Kind of growing up and, harnessing that anger and that rebellion into the incredible killing machine that he became. So a show about him in the special ops, woo! I'd watch.
That's what I would do. I would do that. I would have him end up, facing some supernatural comic book enemies, kind of learning, skills that, prepared him to take on Wakanda.
Well, yeah. What if every episode was one scar?
Oh shit, man, that's great.
Yeah. And you had Mike. I mean, yeah, obviously, if you had Michael B playing it, people would watch the hell out of that. Yeah, my point being, that's probably not all going to happen, but
I know
it's a good enough character to have those ideas and it be plausible.
How'd he hook up with Claw? Like, I'd love to see all that.
Oh my gosh, if I could just see him kind of traveling around the world in the way he did in London, just kind of stealing shit and fucking, kind of stacking up his weapons and his knowledge and stuff. Great stuff.
So after Killmonger has his journey, he orders all of the heart-shaped herbs to be burned because no one will ever challenge him again. And Nakia managed to swipe one, so they head to the only place they know is safe, the mountains with the Jabari, because they want to give M'Baku the herb so he can take on Killmonger. And that's pretty awesome. That's that's good thinking. And
it becomes, hey, who's the guy who believes in tradition and believes in Wakanda and Africa as a whole? And that's M'Baku, a guy who totally believes in tradition. And that's why he challenged T'Challa in the first place. So yeah, that's certainly the first place I would look.
They get all the way there. M'Baku captures them, and they say, T'Challa was murdered in ritual combat. And his first question is, were the odds fair? And they're like, yeah. That it was less of a murder and more of a defeat, wasn't it? And they're like, don't rub our noses in it. And he's like, hey, this is my place. I ask the questions. Like, he really milks it.
Yeah. He's like, I know you guys just watched me lose to him, so let me have some fun.
I love when Ross tries to talk and he just starts barking.
Yeah. That's actually really great, right? And Martin's like, what did I say? What did I do? And they're like, well, you're white, you idiot. Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
And they
which, yeah, man, if me and you walked up there, no way. I would not. I wouldn't, first off. No way. That's not, unless I am absolutely 100% invited, I am not going to intrude on M'Baku.
Oh God, no. He will mess you up.
Yeah.
You're not walking out of there. But they give M'Baku the herb and they're like, look, an outsider has taken the throne of Wakanda. Everything is in danger. You're the only one who can stop him. Please take this, become the Black Panther, and save Wakanda. And M'Baku doesn't take it. He could easily take Wakanda right now, but that's not how he rolls. It's not fair. It's not his place. And he recognizes that. He's such, I love his character. He might be my favorite character.
He's definitely one of my favorite. I would watch again. He's another guy I would watch like different kinds of content about, and I love that. I love that he's like, no, man, I don't want it in this way.
Yeah,
it's not mine.
Not like this. And
if I would have beat him, then yeah.
What he does is he takes them to it and says like, follow me. We found this yesterday, and it's T'Challa still alive, barely clinging in the snow. So they give him the herb. He revisits the ancestral plane, confronts his father, and is like, why didn't you take him home? Fantastic scene. And he's screaming at his father like, you were wrong. We need to help everybody. Like, turning your back on the world was not the right thing to do. Turning your back on Killmonger was not the right thing to do. You ruined this child. You made him a monster.
Yeah.
And it's this movie is so there's elements of this that are so much stronger than anything else Marvel did. There's so much more to say with this one. It's fantastic.
The poignancy is on a different level, especially with Mr. Boseman not being with us anymore. So these scenes with his father are very, very powerful.
Yeah, and he wakes up, he's healed, he's the Black Panther again, and he asks M'Baku, like, can you protect my mother? And he's like, yeah, of course, no problem, you have my word. Without question, he's like, yeah, she can stay.
Of course.
And he's like, I could use an army too, and he's like, I'm sure you could. Nope. He's like, this is your fight, and T'Challa's like, it's our fight. He's like, us? You're the first king ever that's been here in centuries, and you talk about us? Horseshit. Not my fight. And T'Challa points out, like, when Killmonger conquers, everything else, he's going to take you down too because you're a threat. Recognize that. Realize that. Make the right decision. So, T'Challa, Nakia, and Shuri go to challenge Killmonger. And Killmonger is prepping vibranium weapons to be shipped across the world to his people waiting in specifically New York, London, and Hong Kong, which are the three cities where Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorums are. I noticed that for the first time in my recent watch. I was like, hey, that's cool.
MCU, baby.
And Wakabi's standing right next to him. Okoye is reluctantly with him because she and the Dora Milaje, the bodyguard, are sworn to the king, regardless of who that is. And T'Challa takes down one of the planes, steps up and is like, I did not yield. That's awesome. The first thing that popped into my head with that, I don't like that this is where my mind immediately went, but it went to South Park where Randy is challenging Bat Dad, and he's like, I didn't hear no bell. That's where I went immediately.
That's incredible. That's so good. South Park, Black Panther, yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought this was Wakanda. I thought this was... Oh, my God. So T'Challa's like, I'm not dead. Challenge still stands. Bring it. And Killmonger puts on the other Black Panther suit that Shuri made, the golden one. Okoye says, you're not fit to lead. Takes, they all point their spears at Killmonger, and he starts fighting the Dora Milaje. Wakabi takes his people to take on, he challenges T'Challa. Like, he chooses a side. And the war here is fucking awesome. The battle's fantastic. And when the tide's turning, we hear a familiar barking, and it's the fucking Jabari. I get chills every time. You knew it was going to happen, but it's so cool to see it.
Yes, and they're just madmen. I do love when Daniel Kaluuya is blowing the horn and those rhinos come up out of the ground. That was badass.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I talk about production design. Just come on, like all of that with the CGI and with the acting and all of it combined is it's literally movie magic.
Oh, for sure. Shuri, Nakia, and Ross get into the main hub. Ross gets into like a remote control vehicle to fly and shoot down the ships. Shuri grabs her blasters. Nakia puts on some armor, and they start kicking ass. And Shuri takes on Killmonger briefly, and that was pretty cool. And he's about to kill her. T'Challa jumps him, and they end up in the vibranium mine, where they fight to the death. And Okoye ends up taking out W'Kabi and like stops him. And I love he says like, "Would you kill me?" Because they're together. And she says, for Wakanda, without question. Like, oof, chills. That motherfucker's going away for treason.
Yes. Yes.
T'Challa and Killmonger fighting in the mine. Killmonger's taunting him. The train that transports the vibranium briefly disrupts it, allowing T'Challa time to stab Killmonger in the side with a spear. And Killmonger accepts defeat. He's like, hell of a move. That's his words, like, hell of a move. I think secretly he wanted to fail. I think the way he accepts death is so graceful that I feel like he's happy to be released from this pain.
But yeah, he's killed so many people and been so angry his entire life. Yeah, he definitely. It seemed like he went into it kind of like, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. Just let's just see what happens here.
He wanted to try.
Yes, and wanted the challenge.
And he and T'Challa walk out to see the sunrise or sunset. I think it's obviously the sunset. This whole battle's been in daytime, and he points out that his father said Wakandan sunsets. God damn, why is this tripping me up? We're the most beautiful in the world. T'Challa points out, like, we can heal you, we can save you. And Killmonger's like, why? So you can lock me up? Like, no. And he says a line that comes up a lot in conversation. He says, just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors who jumped from ships because they knew death was better than bondage.
Oof.
And then just grabs the spear and rips it out, and he dies. It's a very somber death for such a monster.
Yeah. And to me, the perfect kind of ending to this film. As far as that part goes, we have a little bit more to go in the post-credits scene, but that is a spectacular little bit between hero and villain.
True. T'Challa is recrowned king. M'Baku gets a seat on the council. I like that. That Jabari will now be, part of it. And T'Challa establishes an embassy in the United States. He buys the building that N'Jobu died in and is going to turn it into the Wakandan embassy. And in the mid-credit scene, T'Challa appears before the UN to reveal Wakanda to the world. And in a post-credit scene, Bucky is there, getting healed, and they're like, the fight's coming. And he's like, I'll be ready. And,
hell yeah.
It's a great movie. It really is like one of the most rewatchable of the MCUs. It's so great.
Yes, yeah, because of all, the style, the sound, and then when you rewatch it over and over, you catch new things, like you said about the Doctor Strange bit of New York, London, and Hong Kong, and that's what the MCU is so good at, is making them rewatchable, and over time, they kind of mastered their craft. It's a really good film. Black Panther's awesome. Of course, it's on Disney Plus, just like all those Marvel movies, and go check it out. And watch all those other Chadwick Boseman films as well.
Yes, indeed. A lot of them are available on Netflix. There's more than a few there, and Prime.
Yes.
And also, I wanted to point this out. I think I noticed a plot hole in Civil War.
Okay.
So after T'Chaka dies, T'Challa takes the Black Panther armor and tries to chase down Bucky and, fights all these people. How does he have power? Because he didn't know T'Chaka wasn't dying. Like he didn't go back to Wakanda to get the herb. So in that movie, T'Challa shouldn't have powers. But he's, running, he's running as fast as Captain America. He's, lifting shit. He's powerful. He's got the Black Panther powers in Civil War, but he shouldn't because he hasn't been crowned king yet. So like, how does he, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I haven't just that's pretty simple actually. I haven't really put that together yet. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that after we're done here. That's a good point. That is kind of like just lazy writing, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to establish rules, you got to follow them.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're still great movies.
Yeah,
Nothing
no
that doesn't
kidding.
get taken away.
No kidding. Yeah, they're all so epic and such great length to them and amazing stuff when you're able to put all that money in and get it all back and keep putting it back into your product. Props to the MCU.
Yes, indeed. Will not be the last MCU movie we do on either podcast.
Yeah, no, and I'm shocked it's our first, but yeah, rest in peace, Chadwick. Glad we're honoring you with this film.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We will not be forgotten. Your legacy will live forever. The films you did were fucking amazing. They'll be watched forever.
Yes, indeed.
So that takes us to this week in film to close out the show. Here's some stuff that happened in the past week. Disney announced that Mulan will be available to all subscribers on Disney Plus in December, regardless of premium access or whatnot. So if you want to shell out $30 now, you can. I don't recommend it. If you're a little bit patient, you can wait till December and watch it with your regular Disney Plus subscription, which is what I'm going to do.
Me too. And we may find a way to do an episode on it or something. But yeah, we'll both be waiting till December.
Yeah, so don't expect an episode on that in the next few weeks because that $30 is insane, and I'm not doing that.
Much more likely to do a genre film or something that comes out on Netflix or something like Defy Bloods that we did here on this show because everybody has access to it and it's great.
We're looking into maybe doing The Devil All the Time. We're going to watch the movie and then determine whether or not it's worthy of an episode.
Yeah, it really could go either way. It could be on this show if we think that it should be up for some Oscars, or it could go on the other one because it might just be really weird.
Yeah, we'll see. Next up, this was really cool. Paul Thomas Anderson has cast Cooper Hoffman, son of the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman, as the lead in his new film, which is nuts. So loving that legacy, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah. Stellar stuff. Apparently, you and I had talked about it earlier. Apparently, he was born in 2003, so that should make him about 17 right now, and pretty chilling stuff. I shared a picture with you, and it's just kind of a shot from the film, and it's Cooper and one of the singers from the band Haim together in a car, and Bradley Cooper's just walking past, and that kind of stuff, because Paul Thomas Anderson's my favorite director of all time. When I see stuff like that, I just get really, really amped up, and it's uber exciting to see PSH's son possibly carry the torch with PTA. Oh man, it gives me chills. I don't know how PTA is filming him. I don't know how he's directing Cooper Hoffman when he's had all these experiences with PSH and he's not with us anymore. That's got to be really emotional.
I'm sure he's going to take that emotion and just pour it into the film. It's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, who am I to, question Paul Thomas Anderson using what his pain and what he's going through to just, put it all out on the screen. Yeah.
Next up, the second trailer for No Time to Die was launched. Now set for a late November release. Hopefully that is set in stone. I'd really like to see this movie. It's the only movie I really wanted to see this year.
Yeah, and that will most certainly, if we are both able to see that one, that will most certainly be here on the Oscar show. Daniel Craig, his last go around, right? And he's just been spectacular as Bond, and Bond fans and film fans alike are just going to kind of miss him because he's been a cool, gritty Bond, and a lot of fun to watch. I'm really excited to see how he kind of caps it off.
Well, I think the only guaranteed nomination is Best Original Song. I'm hoping it's a hat trick. Skyfall and Spectre both won Best Song. I'm hoping No Time to Die takes it as well. So I think that's enough to get it on this show.
You only need one. Yeah.
Yeah. We get to see a little bit more of Rami Malek's enigmatic villain, which I've heard rumors might be a revamped version of Dr. No, which is kind of neat. If it's not, I won't be disappointed. I'll just, this will be cool. Looks exciting. And this will also mark the first time an actor has played Ernst Stavro Blofeld twice. Christoph Waltz is the first actor to reprise that role. Donald Pleasance played him in You Only Live Twice. Then it was Telly Savalas in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Then it was Charles Gray in Diamonds Are Forever, my personal favorite, Blofeld. But no actor has ever done it twice, so this will be cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And finally, and this sucks, Robert Pattinson has tested positive for COVID-19, so he's been forced to quarantine while the Batman resumes production without him. And Matt Reeves is doing everything he can to get as much of this film shot without Pattinson while he's in his quarantine. And it sucks that the one person from the Batman who got COVID was fucking Batman. the one guy they really kind of needed in the movie.
Yeah. You would hope it'd be some kind of fucking extra or something, some guy who doesn't really matter to the film. But no, I'm just kidding. No, Jesus, Austin, what's wrong with you insensitive prick? God, didn't we just talk about Black Panther, one of the coolest guys ever, and you're gonna go and do that? No, yeah, it sucks, man. But in the big scheme of things, you hope that they're all being safe, and at the end of the day, it's a movie, and we just want them to all be safe and make the right product. So,
yeah.
And, it's a shame to see, but you're not surprised, right? At this point, anybody can get it. You just want them to take the right precautions, and I assume Robert Pattinson will.
Well, I think what really sucks is this movie already had to shut down production for quite a while due to the initial outbreak, and they just resumed it, and now they got to shut down again.
Yeah.
Or at least, film without Pattinson, which blows. But, in the end, I'm confident this movie's going to be really good, and Pattinson's going to kill it, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be a fun one. I'm definitely pumped for that one.
For sure. All right, with that, what are we doing next week?
Next week, I want to start doing this more often at the end of these, is giving our audience more meat to play with for each episode. Next week, we're going to be going to the 2000s. On this, wave, last time we did In the Bedroom from 2001. So we're going to move along to the mid-2000s and do Little Miss Sunshine from 2006. Which was was up for some awards, and that includes Best Picture. And what I want to do here is, with the films that we cover that are up for Best Picture, I want to start giving our listeners, and it's for Connor and myself as well, the other movies that were up for that award. So that year, The Departed won, Babel was up, Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Queen. So those are the 5 movies we're going to be having a conversation about in depth when it comes to Best Picture. So if you would like to sort of, be with us in that conversation next week, go right ahead, see as many of those as you can. They're all fairly easy to find. But Little Miss Sunshine is the hub next week. And we're going to go back to kind of our main formula next week for Little Miss Sunshine. This was a blast. Talking about Chadwick Boseman, talking about our first MCU movie, first Marvel movie, was so much fun. I'm sure you can echo that. Absolutely, this was great. I don't like that it had to be under these unfortunate circumstances that we covered Black Panther, but I am glad we did it, and I'm very much enjoyed doing this one. Yeah, definitely. We got to show our love for Chadwick and our love for Black Panther and the MCU and just movies in general, right? Because the MCU is certainly trying to entertain people and bring people together for storytelling. Ultimately, that's what we're doing. So, I hope you guys had fun with us. Next week's going to be a change of pace. Yes. Little Miss Sunshine is probably the most, through and through indie film we've done, where you really have this unique cast of different kinds of, character actors, from Alan Arkin to Steve Carell to Toni Collette to Greg Kinnear to Paul Dano to Abigail Breslin. Just really, really cool cast. And it's been a favorite of mine since I was, 13 or 14. And I'm really excited to come back to it and talk about it next week. So hopefully you guys can join us and, see some of those movies and bring it for Little Miss Sunshine. Fantastic. I can't wait. And if you want your horror fix, this Wednesday we are doing the original 1974 classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Woo. So I'm prepared. It's a grisly one, and it's a fucking masterpiece. And with that, we'll see you next Sunday. Peace.